Morning, everyone. Lots happening across Canada. Ontario is closed. Other provinces are dealing out similar initiatives in order to fight coronavirus, Chinese coronavirus, COVID-19. And I'll get into the Ontario being closed, but happening in Ottawa today is an emergency session of the House of Commons. Parliament is meeting, and during that session, they're going to look to pass a spending bill. It looks a lot like a stimulus package to help people who are needing to stay in their homes right now to save ourselves from COVID-19, I guess. And so it's interesting. Into that package, the Liberals snuck some, unprecedented powers, and the backlash was absolutely astronomical last night, and I'll show you what I mean. But first, we're going to talk about Ontario, and then we'll move on. Okay, here we go. BNN Bloomberg reporting, Ontario ordering all non-essential businesses to close. Ontario Premier Doug Ford is ordering the closure of all non-essential business in the province to help deal with the spread of COVID-19. He said the order will be effective Tuesday at 11:59 p.m. and will be in place for at least 14 days. Ford says the next 36 hours will give non-essential businesses the chance to prepare. Food will remain on grocery store shelves and people will still have access to medication. The Premier says it was a tough decision, but now is not the time for half measures. See Ontario's full list of essential workplaces here. I'm not going to go through the list. You can have a look if you're interested. There's a lot that is still open. There's a lot that is closed. The mall is pretty much closed, right? But anything to do with supply chain of food, supply chain of medication, hospitals, all sorts of stuff is continuing to remain open. So LCBO beer store, and there was a lot of anger over this, and I explained to somebody, alcohol requires weaning, right? If you drink 4 nights a week or more, you need to have a weaning schedule to get off alcohol. Otherwise, you're going to get sick. You're going to have a situation where it seems like you have the flu because you're not drinking. And I mean, that's just the hard reality of alcohol, right? Like it is a drug and you get addicted to it. And if you stop taking it, you will have a consequence. So in this, I think that the Ford government is being responsible. You don't want to compound emergency room visits because people are having alcohol withdrawal. That would be terrible. And I mean, too many people don't know that, right? Too many people don't understand what alcohol is, but I won't go off on that diatribe. Okay, here is Jennifer Zhang, and she says, wow, Alibaba's Taobao, which I think is the Asian market, not the English market, is selling fake CCP virus-free certificates to help you board international flights. $10, $1.41 for medical certificate, 3 RMB for 42 cents for an RNA test insurance certificate to enable you to enter Thailand, connecting in the UK. Same day delivery guaranteed. I wonder, I mean, this is probably fake, right? Just Twitter bots, Russian bots pretending to be Asian, sowing discord, right? Except that here's an account of a Markham woman who flew home from LA. This is probably not happening, not taking advantage of this, but there are lots of people just getting on flights who are sick. This woman flew from LA on Saturday and she died of COVID-19. Her symptoms, quote, may have been missed during health screening during travel at the airport. May have been missed. So people are getting onto planes looking healthy and then dying like the same day they land? That seems weird. Here's the Toronto Star. Now, when the Toronto Star is printing stuff like this, it sends my Peter sense tingling, right? It is very... something's odd with this. Or the Toronto Star is just embracing the clicks of fear, right? Everybody likes to read about things that confirm their bias, right? So this is everybody's scared. So here's the Toronto Star reinforcing that fear. Scary as hell. Canadians describe sense of lax screening at Pearson Airport. When Hamilton activist Cameron Topp okay, he's a person, right? But they're positioning him as somebody you want to like encourage and go for, right? He's an activist. He's not just a person, man. He is somebody who you would know and he would fight for you, right? He's an activist. Come on, man. When Hamilton resident Cameron Topp, I'm sure you're an activist, Cameron. What are you an activist for? Are you an activist for SJW garbage or are you an activist for free-thinking humanity? I don't know. So you can just be a person to me. When Hamilton resident Cameron Topp got on a flight from Taiwan, the local airline staff took his temperature, gave passengers masks, and sanitized hard surfaces throughout the flight. You could tell everyone was really serious, Topp said. If someone coughed on the plane, everyone flinched. If someone coughs in my house, we all kind of give them the side eye right now. Top and his family arrived at Pearson International Airport at 9:30 p.m. on Saturday night and were greeted, he said, by about a dozen airport staff with wheelchairs for old passengers. None of them had masks on. It didn't seem as if they felt there was any urgent crisis, he said. Walking with his wife and two adult sons, Top encountered officers in the airport hallway leading to the International Customs Processing area. They made a brief comment like, "You guys understand you're going to need to self-isolate, right?" After 40 minutes inside Pearson, quicker than usual, nothing Top witnessed made him feel that Canada's largest airport is taking COVID-19 as seriously as the airports in Taiwan or Vietnam, where his journey began. Quote, "It's scary as hell that this is how it's working right now." And there's more to this story, but that's the gist of it, right? So first, when the Toronto Star is embracing those clicks of fear and putting an article like this out, and that's March 22nd, by the way. Today's the 24th, 2 days later. Be wary. Here's Justin Trudeau. This is 16 hours ago, so evening last night. Breaking, Global News has learned that tomorrow the government will introduce legislation that gives sweeping powers to Finance Minister Bill Morneau, including the power to unilaterally raise, lower, change taxes without parliamentary approval. Exclusive, Global News has seen a copy of the legislation that the Liberals will introduce tomorrow, giving sweeping new powers to the Finance Minister Bill Morneau to tax and spend without parliamentary approval. Story by, and here it is. Here's the story. Liberals bill. And so this has been updated, right? Liberals bill on coronavirus would give feds power to spend tax without parliamentary approval. And this is unprecedented. And there's an update here, and we will get to the update. I don't mean to imply that this is still the case. This is likely going to be amended. Anyway, Government House Leader Pablo Rodriguez tweeted Monday that the bill will be amended. Okay? So, but here's how it all went down. In response to the coronavirus pandemic, the federal Liberals are poised to table a bill granting them sweeping new powers to spend money and raise taxes without having to get the approval of Parliament. Global News has seen a copy of the legislation sent to be tabled Tuesday when a small number of MPs from all parties returned to Ottawa to pass a multi-billion-dollar coronavirus support package. The legislation grants Finance Minister Bill Morneau extraordinary new powers to spend, borrow, and tax without having to get the approval of opposition MPs until December 2021. The Canadian Constitution enshrines taxation as a power of the parliamentary branch, not the PMO, Prime Minister's Office, or the Prime Minister Executive himself, right? That would fundamentally change our system. Okay, back to this. Because of that, granting those powers to the federal cabinet alone is highly unusual. Even the Emergencies Act does not do so. Effectively, the proposals would allow the government to spend money and change tax rules related to its coronavirus response without having to get the approval of the House of Commons each time they want to do so. It could also mean many of the measures carried out under those new powers could take place without parliamentary debate and without the elected representatives of Canadians getting a chance to vote for or against the measures. In a minority parliament where each money bill that comes before the House of Commons is a confidence vote, meaning the government could fall if it fails, it also raises the prospect that the government will avoid votes of confidence on proposed new spending and taxation. This is really concerning, right? Like, we have a minority government, and anytime they want to say, this is how we're changing it, or this is what we're doing differently, or whatever, that's a confidence vote. And at this point in time, they have a strong minority. They have the opportunity with the Bloc. They have the opportunity with the NDP, and the Greens are basically Green Liberals, right? Like, at this point in time, the House of Commons is largely aligned on the globalist left, right? And how far that left can go, man, well, the NDP is still calling for further left, so, and then the Liberals are acquiescing mostly. But it's very interesting. Like, it doesn't mean you get a blank check. It doesn't mean you get the ability to completely ignore, 121 seats for the Conservatives. Doing this would rob any possibility of bringing down the government in the traditional way a minority government falls. And that's not great. That's not good. Because we don't even have the ability to recall a prime minister who, removes an attorney general for not willing to play ball with a giant multi-billion-dollar company that violated international laws. We don't have the ability to do that. So this would just give us no ability to even bring down the government in the usual way. Like, I don't know. Doesn't seem like a good idea to me. So anyway, all opposition parties were surprised at the content of the bill and all singled out the extensive section which gives Morneau new powers. A senior government source told Global News that this is draft legislation subject to the input of opposition parties. An opposition source said they have been working closely with the government and did not see this bill coming. They felt that it caused damage to the cross-party goodwill, they said. And here's a sampling of tweets that are across the board that I've seen in the last 16, 13 hours, whatever. Michael Chong, who's a CPC out by me, actually out in Kitchener, he says, just arrived in Ottawa after 6 hours of driving from my home in Wellington County to attend Parliament. Also just read the Globe and Mail story. To say I'm shocked is an understatement. Maybe not Kitchener, I think maybe the other way. But anyway, he's close to me. I've seen his signs. Anyway, Pierre Poilievre also says, we agreed to quickly pass all the measures Trudeau-Morneau announced for businesses and families during the crisis. Instead, Trudeau's bill gives him never-before-seen powers to spend, tax, and borrow unlimited sums without Parliament for 2 years. Yeah, to the end of 2021, which is crazy. Here's Kathy McLeod. She says, I will hop on a plane immediately to vote against this if this is true. Completely unacceptable and not my understanding of the agreement. This is Michael Chong's tweet, and I think I forgot to read the second part. So number 2, that's why, because it wasn't there. Number 2, from the Globe and Mail, the Liberal government is planning to table an emergency spending bill Tuesday that would grant the federal cabinet sweeping new powers to tax and spend without parliamentary approval until December 31st, 2021. There you go. And sorry for forgetting that one. So Kathy McLeod is saying, I'll jump on a plane. I will put myself in danger to vote against this. Andrew Scheer's weighing in. He says, Conservatives are ready to work to support Canadians in this time of crisis, but we will not give the government unlimited power to raise taxes without a parliamentary vote. We will authorize whatever spending measures are justified in response, but not sign a blank check. Here's the whole release. It says, the Honourable Andrew Scheer, leader of Canada's Conservatives and the official opposition, issued the following statement on the government's proposed emergency legislation. Conservatives are ready to work to support Canadians in this time of crisis. Over the last week, we have negotiated the return of Parliament, expecting to enact the emergency measures the Prime Minister announced last week. We remain willing to enact those measures if the government proposes them tomorrow. In a crisis, broad all-party agreement is essential, especially when the government has a minority in the House of Commons. And we are prepared to have Parliament sit as needed to transact the business of Parliament, but we will not give the government unlimited power to raise taxes without a parliamentary vote. We will authorize whatever spending measures are justified to respond to the situation, but we will not sign a blank check. And here's the NDP weighing in too, and he says, MPs came back to Ottawa to pass what's needed to help Canadians. Let's do that. The Liberals should drop what we don't agree on and focus on what we were sent here to do, deliver for Canadians. And look at that. The House of Commons is largely not aligned with the Liberals on this one, and the Liberals did indeed back down. Here's the updated story. This is 9 hours ago. Liberals retreat on sweeping bill to allow them to tax and spend without Parliament's approval. That's the Globe and Mail, and that was posted 9 hours ago, updated March 23rd, updated 9 hours ago. The Liberal government announced late Monday that it has agreed to change draft legislation that proposed to grant itself wide-reaching new powers to tax and spend without parliamentary approval until December 31st, 2021, through an emergency spending bill. 32 MPs, divided proportionally based on the party standing, will be in Ottawa to debate the bill being tabled on Tuesday. It includes sections aimed at adopting some of the fiscal measures announced last week by Prime Minister Justin Trudeau and Finance Minister Bill Morneau. But a draft version of the bill goes well beyond those measures and includes provisions that would give the minority government the power to act unilaterally for 21 months. And that's where we'll end it, but there's more to this. Fundamentally, I think that it's a big overreach, and we'll have to see what all happens, how it's changed, how the legislation has changed, how the debate in the House goes, and what's ultimately decided. And I mean, with Trump being Trump and his 14 days, and we'll see what happens at the end of that, that's going to influence what Canada does. And I mean, the growth and the death rate of the virus happening through Canada, Ontario, et cetera, is going to impact the choices that are made in the next couple of weeks too. So this is a very much hurry up and wait situation. This is a very much, I don't think anybody can predict what's going to happen in the future. Who knows? I mean, like Italy's death rate is very high. There are other places where the death rate is very low. There are situations where an argument could be made that the overreaction and the shutting down of the economy was unnecessary. And you can see videos of Wuhan, or what people claim is Wuhan, where more than half of the condo lights are not turned on at 8 o'clock at night, and the city sounds, eerie, I think is the best word for it. It sounds like a horror movie. So what? I don't think there's anybody who can reliably predict what's going to happen with the world in the next 2 weeks, right? It's a lot of wait and see. There's a lot of unknowns in this. There's a lot of unknowns with regards to the virus. There's a lot of unknowns with regards to working. There's a lot of unknowns with regard to how well the world can work from home. What a strange thing to happen to the entire world. It's not just Canada either, right? Like, and nobody, I don't think anybody can give a definitive correct answer. I don't think there's any one person who could say this is right based on everything I know and be right. So that's where we are. There's a lot of wait and see. So we'll wait and see. Schools in Ontario will definitely not be open on April 6th. That's something to know. It's really interesting, isn't it? Not great at all, but it's so interesting. Thanks for watching, everybody. Check out CanadaPoly.com, check out CanadaReport.co, and have a wonderful, wonderful